In a world where product choices are seemingly infinite, a lot of you are asking me what the right product is for your car. Now, coatings are hugely popular, they're the latest and greatest. Does anything else matter? Do liquid waxes, pastes, and spray sealants still have a place in the detailing world in 2025? Today, we're going to go over all those points and figure out what's a good product for you. I generally bucket products into three overarching categories. First are the latest, hottest products that everyone talks about, coatings. They utilize silica, graphene, nano-refined diamond, and other technologies. These are going to be liquid, suspended in a solvent, and typically applied as part of a paint correction process. And that's going to be stuff like this. And the second category are going to be sprays, spray waxes, spray sealants, and spray coatings. These are generally water-based. They might use some of the same technologies as ceramic coatings, or they could use traditional polymers, and they're typically incredibly easy to apply. And the final category is going to be liquid and paste waxes and sealants. These are the most traditional products. They go back forever. And this includes old school carnauba, various synthetic polymers, and there are new products playing with PTFE and of course silica. And these are generally pretty easy to use, liquids especially. Pastes can give you a little more trouble, but some are still quite easy. Now that I've broken down the categories, let me guide you through my thought process and hopefully help you figure out what product is right for you. For me, the first question is always, is this a daily driver? Will you be taking this everywhere? Will you park it in front of your office? Is it gonna bake in the sun? Is it gonna go through the mud, the muck, the snow, the salt? And contrary to common wisdom, I believe that these are prime candidates for ceramic coatings. Now, I know many people believe coatings are reserved for project cars, for exotics, for show cars, but I disagree. Bear with me for a second and see why I think it makes more sense for a daily driver. The high durability and even semi-permanent nature of high-quality coatings means they will provide the least fuss for routine maintenance. My Audi S4 is my primary daily driver, and my Corvette C8 actually gets driven quite a bit too. I opted to go for coatings on both of them. I used the Adams graphene coating on the S4. I used it about 3 years ago, and it still performs very well. Now the C8 got the advanced version of that Adams coating, and it just crossed the 2-year mark with no perceivable loss in performance. Both cars are driven all the time, they're frequently washed, usually multiple times a month, and I'm just amazed by how much easier my life is by having ceramic coatings on a vehicle that sees so much road time. It's really nice not to have to worry about applying another product when you're in the middle of a wash and you think, oh no, it started to deteriorate, the wax I had on there is just not really beating, not doing much of anything anymore, and suddenly you have to apply another spray or a paste. I also think spray sealants can be a great option for daily driven cars, especially if you don't really want to go through the hassle or the time or the cost of applying a coating. These spray sealants and spray waxes and spray coatings are super easy to use. They're affordable, and it's a great way to maintain your vehicle every so many washes, and the technology is constantly getting better. We're starting to see extreme durability, though not necessarily longevity from a lot of these products, and a prime example is the Quick Body from Diamond ProTech, which was able to withstand 1,000 washes in my alcometer testing without failure. A huge feat for a product that is so easy to use and affordable. And in the comments, viewers are reporting really good longevity with this product. Now, alternatively, my track toy Mustang behind me is kind of a garage queen. It doesn't go on the road every day. It only gets washed so many times a year. And this car is, I think, a great opportunity to use a liquid product or a paste product, especially if you're not constantly driving it through inclement weather, where you're getting a lot of contamination, all that kind of stuff. Many owners of show cars love to dial their ride in perfectly for the next Cars and Coffee, and these usually low durability and low longevity products are very pretty to the eye. They're a pleasure to install, and a lot of people really get that self-care or even kind of therapeutic qualities from doing those installations. So I can completely understand if this is your favorite car, you just absolutely love it, yeah, let's use something that you can put your hands on all the time and get to enjoy. That's a little bit different than something that goes on the road every day where you kind of just need it to work. And frankly, sometimes it's hard to beat the show car shine of a carnauba finished vehicle. It can look absolutely stunning, though typically not for a very long time. For me, it's also really fun to try a ton of new products. You guys see everything behind me. There's more outside of the shot that you don't even see. I gotta get more shelving. And I love testing all that stuff on the Mustang because there's not the super long and durable product on it, and it is kind of my toy, more so than something I might jump into on a random Tuesday. Also, you have to consider that vehicles that aren't constantly being washed and driven, the performance of products really extends. You can apply basic liquid sealant to a car like that and come back a year and a half later having driven it 10 times and see that it's still working. It's not really necessarily a time-based thing. It is more exposure, abrasion, all of those kind of things. I've personally put low durability products on that Mustang that have gone past my attention span to where I'm putting different stuff on because I'm bored. I want to take one quick second to remind you that there are affiliate links down below in the description. There are some of my favorite products across these categories. Clicking through and purchasing anything from those websites will give me a small commission to help make videos like the one you're seeing today. Also, there's a link to my website in the description, which has tables and charts comparing all these products. Once we've identified what you're going to be using your car for and how you'll be using it, I think it's important to figure out who's going to be washing the car and how. Will you be paying a professional detailer to wash your car? Are you going to wash it yourself with a 2-bucket method or a foam cannon? Do you use a rinseless wash at an apartment? Will you be sending your car through a tunnel wash with the crazy brushes or the super high-powered jets of water? I think that makes a huge difference in your product selection. Personally, I would never recommend using a ceramic coating with a full prep process, including paint correction, especially if you're paying someone to do it, possibly thousands or at least hundreds of dollars. If you're going to go through a tunnel wash, even a touchless one. And let me explain why. Tunnels that utilize brushes can swirl your paint in just a few visits, and paint correction is the most expensive part of the coating install. It's all that prep work, and it's possibly hundreds or thousands of dollars instantly down the drain if you damage the vehicle. Furthermore, even touchless washes will be harsh on coatings because they use aggressive, generally non-pH neutral surfactants. Those harsh soaps will absolutely deteriorate coatings over time, and you could use a coating on an uncorrected car, kind of skip all that prep work, with the understanding that you're not going to get the same level of performance, longevity, or durability. As I'm sure you can tell, I'm not a very big fan of those automatic wash tunnels, but I will say that I understand they're a necessity. Some people don't have a property where they can easily wash their car. Professional detailers are expensive. The coin-operated places aren't always very good either, especially if you use their tools and brushes. They're pretty gross, and I get it. I would say if you're gonna do this, consider doing the touchless wash. It's not going to really get everything, and I know that's why people prefer the brushed washes a lot of the time. What I would say is go through the touchless, let that be kind of the cheaper option that you do, and then occasionally have a professional detailer just get all the contamination out of your car that the touchless isn't able to get. You know, maybe once or twice a year, have a pro detailer really clean your ride up. And then when the detailer is done, I would have them apply a paste wax or a liquid wax or a spray sealant. Spray sealants, I think, are very strong here because they're so easy to use. You know the tunnel wash, whether the brushed or the touchless, they're going to strip things off your paint. So it's good to have something you can very quickly mist on and wipe off, put that protection back on. Now, some of you are probably familiar with a rapidly expanding technology, which is called rinseless wash. This is something that's super popular with people living in apartments or just guys that drive their cars on like a sunny day. They don't get a lot of buildup, they don't want to do a full wash, and it's a quick and easy way to take care of your car. And the way these rinseless washes work is it's essentially a bit like a detail spray, except with more soap, more surfactant in there, and they're also usually more lubricated. And they're able to allow you to spray onto your car and then just wipe everything off with some towels, wash those towels, no rinsing needed, no bucket needed, just like the name says. But as I'm sure you can guess, there's some disadvantages. The big disadvantage is that you're not rinsing your vehicle, so if you have a dirtier vehicle, you're just spreading some of that stuff around your car. Really, rinseless to me is for cleaning up fairly clean cars. I don't really like using rinseless on contaminated cars or those that have been caked on with mud or dirt. It's just not a good idea. And I think with the rinseless products, you can definitely use a coating. You could use sealants. You could use a spray sealant, a liquid, a paste. They're all gonna work well. But it's also important to keep in mind a lot of these rinseless washes also include their own sealant in the bottle. So you're generally applying something else every time you're doing it. May affect the qualities and characteristics of the finish. It's going to be a little bit more like the sealant that is in the rinseless wash rather than what you put on the car. Again, I think this is a great option and maybe a fourth category really for people that don't necessarily have an easy way to wash their car all the time. And then finally, of course, those of you utilizing things like the 2-bucket method or foam lances and foam cannons, maybe you're going to a professional for every car wash. If the work is being done properly, you know what you're doing when you wash your car so you don't damage it. It's anything you want to use, but coatings are absolutely on the table. I would say you're a prime candidate for coatings if you're hand washing your vehicle, especially if you're paying a professional to wash your vehicle. Finally, the next major consideration is who's going to be installing the product. Are you going to be going to a professional detailer that's going to do a full paint correction, prep your car, and install a coating? Are you going to be trying to do this yourself? What is your skill level? Will you be applying something that you've done many times already? Are you just getting into detailing? Maybe this is the first exciting car and you're just ready to own it and make it this beautiful ride that you've always kind of dreamed about. What is the end result that you're trying to achieve and who's going to help you get there? Although coatings are getting easier than ever to install, there is a lot of prep work. Even with the easiest products like the Ethos Easy Peasy, which I recently reviewed, that prep can be a bear for a newer user. Although coatings can definitely be installed on unprepped cars, to get the most out of a coating, we're talking about a fairly involved process. For really good bonding for the installation, we're talking about performing a decontamination wash with a strong surfactant to strip as much contamination and old product as possible. You'd have to utilize an iron remover to remove iron debris caused by brake dust or even rail dust found on new cars from transportation across the country. And yes, I do polish and prep brand new cars when it's my car and it's gonna get a coating. Believe it or not, brand new car paint, not perfect. And after the chemical decontaminations, you have to move on to a clay treatment to get rid of other non-iron contaminants in your paint. And that could be sap and all just other kind of debris that gets kind of clogged into the paint. And once all that is gone, you're gonna be able to move on to the polishing. But even then, it could be multi-step. It could involve wet sanding certain areas of the car first, and then multi-stage polish. Could be a simple one-stage process. But as you can tell, this is so much involved work. The coating part is just one little aspect of the installation. It's actually often the easiest aspect of the installation. And this is why when you go to pay somebody to do this, you're gonna be a little bit sticker shocked if you've never done it. On the low end around Houston, I see in the $400 range, and that is, I suspect, a fairly quick polish, probably a very light cut polish all over the car, and then a fairly inexpensive coating being applied. You can go all the way to thousands of dollars. I'd say the upper range starts at about $2.5 grand, where they're gonna be really spending several days dialing your car in. So there's a big range here of the skills involved and the time and effort involved. Spray waxes, liquid waxes, pastes, all those type of sealants, they all benefit from everything I just outlined. If you have a show car, you already know you're doing all this stuff most likely. However, because they're such a low barrier to entry, they're easy to use, they're affordable, it's a great way to start building up some of your skills. And I would much rather somebody just spray on a spray sealant as they're learning how to take care of their car than just give up and drive it through the tunnel wash and think, well, I'm never gonna learn all this, it's too difficult. You should cut your teeth on those easy to use products if you're gonna be DIYing for the first time. And you can start by trying out strip washes and various chemical decontamination, like iron remover, and then later move on to things like claying. Though a word of caution with claying, it can do very small amounts of marring to your paint. It's typically something I reserve for where the next step is a polish. I generally don't clay a car I don't intend to polish, although I know many people do. It's a little bit overblown, it's not that big of a deal, but I just personally don't like the extra little bits of marring a clay bar can add when it's pulling those contaminants off. And then once you've learned some of the basics, you can move on to like a one-step polish. Get yourself a light polishing pad, an entry-level DA polisher, and just get started. Try it on sections of your car, watch a lot of videos, learn, maybe go out and buy a test hood at the junkyard for $100. Practice on that. In fact, that's a great way to learn how to burn paint. Just go ham on it and see what it takes to burn paint. And when I was much younger, I personally started with all those liquid and paste products. This was probably around 20 years ago. Coatings were just on the horizon then. People didn't really know too much about it. And that is how I learned. I started with the basics. I remember going on AutoGeek for some of the first products I bought, purchasing things from Adams back when they were a much smaller company. And just step by step, I still remember the first DA I bought from AutoZone, and me and my buddy were detailing our cars, and it took hours because it was such a crappy DA. Didn't really know what we were doing, but we were making progress and slowly learning. And eventually I got to what I'm able to do today, where I can help my friends fix their car when they hit a crate on the road and make it look pretty darn good. And you can absolutely build those skills up yourself with just some time and patience, and then maybe get into some of the coatings. Or again, you could always go pay a professional. But I would say entry level, just start with those easy products and build your skills. So where does this leave us? What should you choose? If you follow my logic, you should use a ceramic coating if you're gonna be installing it yourself with the right skills, if you know what you're doing, if you're paying a professional, if you expect a long, durable product for your daily driven car, or maybe not a daily driven car, if you're following proper washing techniques, or at the very least using something like a rinseless, maybe a touchless car wash, with the understanding that you may not get all the characteristics and performance. Those are prime candidates for coatings. And for sprays and pastes and liquids, I think it's great if you're not daily driving the car, maybe it's a show car or a garage queen. And it's great if you're totally new to applying these products, you don't yet know what you're doing and you're trying to learn. It's great if you're using tunnel washes, although I hate tunnel washes, in order to maintain your paint between those tunnel washes. It's very easy to do it with those products. And of course, if there's cost sensitivity where you may not want to pay a professional, you need something affordable you can use very easily. And of course, those products can also be great if detailing is sort of your therapy. If you really love doing it, then maybe a coating's not great unless you just want to apply topper on it all the time, because it just doesn't let you change things out over and over. So if you have that short attention span, or you just love to get your hands on the car, maybe go with one of the traditional products too. I hope this has helped you in your quest of figuring out the right product for your vehicle. Maybe it's a new car, maybe you're expanding your skills. However, one thing that I want to leave you with is that there is rarely a truly wrong choice when you're picking across these great last step products that are coming out these days. It's so much more about enjoying your vehicle. It's about enjoying the process. And anybody that's telling you like, oh no, this is the only coating you should use, or even just following my logic may not be right for you. If something works for you, that's really what matters. So much of this hobby is sometimes treated like a spec sheet, but you're not buying a computer. This isn't about looking at two tables and going like, this is the only product that makes sense because of a number. Yes, I try to quantify things. I like to do that in my tests. I do want to show you tables so you can compare. But ultimately, the look and feel, the experience, the performance is so subjective. It can be visceral. It's not really all about spec sheets. If you love something, continue to do it. In fact, I would love to hear from you on what your logic is, how you pick products, what you enjoy, whether you're a novice or a pro. It'd be great if you left me something down below in the comments. It could help a lot of other viewers with ideas. And if you've enjoyed this video, I suggest you check out the video I made about the top lies, myths, and misconceptions of ceramic coatings, and I'll link that up here somewhere for you in the top corner. It's a pretty interesting watch if you don't know a lot of background on coatings specifically. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button, ring the bell so you don't miss future videos. Do click the like button, share the video with a friend. It does help the channel grow, and I will see you again really soon in a future video.